Stop using church intimidation, control and manipulation. Jezebel and all them spirits fall back, not trying to hear it. Go with Jesus, walk in peace. On your pew can sit that beast that we're fighting in the world. I'm that JC Supergirl, Jesus Christ, belt of truth, arm of God, I'm slaying you. Power of the word, two-edged sword. MC Heaven rocks for her Lord. Thought they crept in unaware, didn't see the gatekeeper standing right there. Not getting down with your tactics, undoctrinal practice.
Hello, everyone. Shalawam Ahthah. Welcome again to the Crystal Jones Show. I greet you in the name of Ahayah, Bahashem, Yashaya, Rawach. We have another week of life. Thank God for that. And it's good to see you all here at the show. All right, let me give you my contact information. You can watch me every week from 7 to 8 p.m. on Saturdays on BronxNet.tv, the Inspire channel, and also on channels 951 and 2137 on your cable channels. Also, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. The channel is growing. Thank you all who have, subscribed to the channel. Let's continue to get the channel growing so that people can also get the information and find out what things we're doing here at the show. Like and share my videos. Also, you can reach me at Instagram, The Crystal Jones Show. I put up daily inspirational quotes from the Bible that are very encouraging. You could write to me, The Crystal Jones Show at Gmail. People are reaching out now saying that they need prayer. There's a lot of things going on and people are getting stressed out. So if you want to reach out to me for prayer, you could definitely, write to me at The Crystal Jones Show at gmail.com. Also, you can watch my videos at HebrewConnect.tv. Okay. So, the scripture of the day today is going to be Genesis, the 28th chapter, the 11th through the 13th verse. We are talking about Jacob, how we are of Jacob's seed. We are the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. As opposed to what we were taught here in this country, we were lied to, and so were other groups of people told that we were these wild people from the jungle and all kind of crazy stuff like that. I even saw a video recently, sadly, that it existed today. Somebody telling a very famous Black woman who's a talk show host, telling her that Black people, that was scientifically proven that we had came from monkeys. It was crazy that people in this day and time even think such ludicrous things, right? So I'm going to show you how, we came about and who we are as a people, the Israelites. We were always Black people. And we are the bloodline Jews. Now, there are other Jews that have been converted, to, I guess what they would call Judaism or, that type of thing. But we are the original Jews. We're the bloodline Jews. Okay. That doesn't mean we hate anybody or anything like that. Yeah, it's bad what happened to us, but nevertheless, we know who we are now, right? So now the 11th verse says, so he came to a certain place and stayed there all night because the sun had set. And he took one of the stones of that place and put it at his head, and he lay down in that place to sleep. I'll be going into this further about Jacob's vision. Then the 12th verse says, then he dreamed, and behold, a ladder was set up on the earth, and its top reached to heaven. And there the angels of God were ascending and descending on it, like they're going up and down these stairs, these angels just going back and forth, right? And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. The land which you lie on, I will give it to you and your descendants. Now, you notice in the Bible, if you've been reading different different things, covenantal promises that God gave his people. With his covenants always came land and territory, but it also came consequences if you didn't obey what was in that contract. And the contract is to follow the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Lord, in order to remain in the land and be blessed. Now, our forefathers did not follow that to the T. And so that's why we winded up getting put out the land, because our people were very rebellious. So this is why you see us scattered. We're the 12 tribes. Here in America, you see a lot of the so-called, what they call us, Black Americans, or, every 4 years seem like they change, they change our names. But that's how we got here, basically, is from being scattered, and we wound up in slavery and all of that, right? Okay, so today what we're going to do, we're going to move on to the news, and we're going to cover the Ahmaud Arbery case. Okay, this is a very sickening situation when I look at it, right? So this is taking place, in the South, in Georgia, all right, which is weird because when how could I say, the nerve that these people have to think that it was okay for these men to call themselves making a citizen's arrest and end up killing this young Black guy, which didn't have to happen. And how they felt that because he was on the property looking at, when they're building new houses and stuff like that, people go and they look because they showed on the video other people have been going and looking at the property because this is the norm of the people in that area. There's a lot of housing going up there in that area. So people are looking, being nosy, looking around and that type of thing. So for these men to say that they felt that they need to go and make a citizen's arrest because they think he stole something, like, who are you to do that, right? But you see where this type of privilege is gotten out of control. And it's even out of control in the other case that in Kenosha, all right? But now it's happening to white people too. So you see where those 3 white men, 2 of them got killed and another one was wounded by this attitude that I'm supposed to be policing everybody, right? So now I think a lot of white people are getting to understand we're not your enemy. It's that attitude of I'm above you, or I'm supposed to be able to police you because I'm from another nation of people. I'm European or whatever. That's what I'm supposed to do. But it's getting them in a lot of trouble. It always has been. And I don't understand why they don't see the light on that, right? So let's check this story out, because they even had the nerve in the Ahmaud Arbery case to say that they didn't want Black pastors coming and comforting the family. That's, who are they to tell somebody who's to come and comfort? These people have lost their son to a bunch of foolishness. They can have anybody they want to come in that courtroom and comfort them. I mean, the audacity of these people that have that mindset to even come up, with something like that. Anyway, let's take a look at this video. Let's see what's going on.
Testimony in the murder trial for the men charged with killing Ahmaud Arbery is underway. Once again, Kevin Goff, the attorney representing William Roddy Bryan, took center stage. He asked the judge to remove Reverend Jesse Jackson from the courtroom and asked for a mistrial again. BNC's Trey Clark is in Brunswick following today's developments.
In just a few days, hundreds of Black ministers from all across the country will be right here in Brunswick, Georgia. But perhaps the most prominent one of them all is already here, Reverend Jesse Jackson. One of the defense attorneys said with all due respect, he does not want to see Reverend Jackson in the courtroom. And this is not the first time that same attorney has targeted a Black minister.
We would ask that the court.
Defense attorney Kevin Goff started the morning off asking if bailiffs can identify and keep track of everyone from the public coming into the courtroom.
My understanding in a case like this, that would be best practice. And we're asking the court to do that.
If somebody is in the gallery here as a member of the public, that's their right to be here, and I'm not going to track individual members of the public who come in and out of this courtroom.
Judge Timothy Walmsley has denied almost every motion Goff has presented. Last week, Goff was called racist after he stood up in court and said this.
We don't want any more black pastors coming in here.
Goff was bothered after learning Reverend Al Sharpton was in the courtroom sitting with Ahmaud Arbery's family. He asked for a total ban on black pastors. Goff argued their presence intimidates jurors. When Goff spotted civil rights icon Reverend Jesse Jackson sitting with Arbery's mother, he pushed to have Reverend Jackson removed immediately.
There is no reason for these prominent icons in the civil rights movement to be here.
I was not even aware that Reverend Jackson was in the courtroom until you started your motion. At this point, I'm not exactly sure what you're doing. I have already ruled on this court's position with regard to the gallery.
Another motion denied, but Goff had one more complaint about Reverend Jackson.
I would note that the Reverend Jesse Jackson's mask is down below his nose.
All of the defense attorneys asked the judge to declare a mistrial. They claimed jurors heard Arbery's mother crying after a picture of her son was shown in court. And they say jurors could see Reverend Jackson consoling her.
We're in a very difficult position now with this jury to have seen and heard and felt that.
But again, motion for mistrial denied. Multiple investigators and Ahmaud Arbery's neighbor testified in court on day 7 of testimony. Gregory and Travis McMichael, along with William Bryan, are on trial for multiple charges, including murder. Arbery's family say he was out jogging when he was killed, February 23, 2020. Defense attorneys say Travis McMichael shot and killed Arbery in self-defense, as all three men claim they were trying to make a citizen's arrest. Reverend Jackson will be here in town all week long, but it's unclear if he plans to attend court every day. Meanwhile, during discussion of one of those motions, Judge Walmsley said to Kevin Goff that he actually thought some of what he said last week in reference to Reverend Al Sharpton, he found his comments to be reprehensible. Meanwhile, the most emotional moment of the day came when the weapon that was used to kill Ahmaud Arbery was held up in court, a 12-gauge Remington shotgun. Ahmaud Arbery's parents were visibly upset. His father, Marcus Arbery Sr., got up and left the courtroom. In Brunswick, Georgia, I'm Dre Clark for Making the Case.
My attorneys Paul Henderson and Sue Ann Robinson are still with me. All right, guys, the judge denied all of Goff's requests today, but let's listen to his explaining his reasons for excluding black pastors like Reverend Jesse Jackson from the courtroom.
The Arbery family is giving up seats in the public gallery so that these gentlemen may be present. With all due respect, Your Honor, the seats in the public gallery of a courtroom are not like courtside seats at a Lakers game. There are no First Amendment rights in the public gallery of a courtroom. There is no standing of any particular individual to be present in the public gallery of a courtroom. And there is no reason for these prominent icons in the civil rights movement to be here.
Mr. Goff, at this point, I'm not exactly sure what you're doing. I have already ruled on this court's position with regard to the gallery. And with all candor, I was not even aware that Reverend Jackson was in the courtroom until you started your motion. I have indicated the court's position. The court's position hasn't changed. At this point, it's almost as if you're just trying to continue this for purposes other than just bringing it to the court's attention.
Sue Ann, is Goff bringing more attention to the people in the gallery than the public figures themselves? I mean, who are probably wearing face masks, making it that much harder to be recognized?
I mean, Walmsley is not perfect, but he is not here for the dog whistles disguised as legal motions. He's like, God, I'm not here for this. Okay, do not come for these people unless they send for you. Okay, Reverend Jackson is minding his business. You do what you're supposed to do. Focus on your client. I mean, that's basically what he said in a calm, cool, and appropriate manner under the settings. It's important to note he didn't yell, he didn't scream, he didn't turn red in the face. He just said, listen, I see you. You need to chill out. And that's the way he's been running the entire case. And I'm not saying he's perfect, but he could come to the cookout. If he pulls up, I'm going to let him get a chicken or something like that.
I see the subtle shade that you're throwing for the judge in Kenosha. Paul, your thoughts?
I mean, really, again, we're talking about Goff, and I'm so irritated with him, with his racist, with his distracting to the jury, with his non-relevant, non-legal distractions to the court and to the jury. I mean, him saying and articulating that he doesn't want to see the pastors. You know what we don't want to see? His defendants. We didn't want to see them do that modern day lynching that we all had to watch, and that's what we are here in the courtroom for. This is just another distraction for him to talk about anything other than what his defendants did and what's on that videotape that we all saw, which was a murder. He's talking about there are best practices which indicate that people like this shouldn't be in the courtroom. Best practices for who, sir? It's just ludicrous that we're having this conversation about his comments that are so clearly designed to distract all of us from holding those 3 defendants accountable for the murder that we all saw on videotape. And so let's just proceed with that. I'm grateful for the judge and how he made this ruling and shutting this all down. And let's just try and see where this jury can go in terms of holding accountability for the rest of us. But that's exactly why he's making these arguments, in my opinion, is to try and make a record, distract the court or distract the jury from focusing on the evidence.
And it's funny that Goff himself didn't even know that Reverend Al Sharpton was in the courtroom until the day after, which speaks to the point again that the jury probably doesn't know who these people are either. All right, so let's take a look at Goff's request for a mistrial. Here's a clip of him making the request yet again.
We contend that the atmosphere of the trial, both inside and outside the courtroom, at this point has deprived Mr. Bryan of his right to a fair trial. In extraordinary cases like this, additional steps have to be taken. We have not secured the front of this courthouse. The Transformative Justice Coalition still flies their banner virtually every day outside in what should be protected grounds. Your Honor, we have had numerous instances during several instances during jury selection of nonverbal communications between the victim's family and jurors, or from juror to the victim's family.
Here's my, I'm going to play devil's advocate really quick because we only have 2 minutes left, but I want to get your thoughts. Let's just say that Reverend Al Sharpton does show up in court. He's pretty recognizable. The jurors look at him, they see him. And given how they've expressed, I don't know how many on the jury actually did during jury selection, but they've expressed concern about serving on this jury, about their safety, about their family's safety. If this verdict doesn't come out the way the public wants it to, then they're fearful. So when they see figures like Reverend Al Sharpton, they understand how big this case actually is. So can we make this argument that maybe Goff is somewhat right in terms of the pressure that these jurors already feel, and then on top of that, seeing figures like Reverend Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson in the gallery? Sue Ann?
The National Guard is out there. The National Guard is out here, and Goff is worried about one man. He's worried about reverends. That's what he's worried about, and the National Guard is out here. He should be making a motion saying, Judge, can we call the feds and tell them to send the National Guard home? That is intimidating the jury. But he's worrying about the black pastors. Okay, Goff, do your thing. Do your thing.
Paul, really quick. Last word.
Okay, let's just give it a legal analysis that all of the factors that he's talking about are conditional. None of them have been proven, and he's not even making the arguments indicating that the factors that he's alluding to are intentionally or actually interfering with the judges or the jury's role in this case. So absolutely a waste of time and meaningless. They won't even be good standards for appeal. He should let it go and move on to focusing on the evidence.
Criminal defense attorney Sue Ann Robinson and veteran prosecutor and BNC's legal contributor Paul Henderson. Thank you guys for joining me tonight.
My opinion, murder, murder, murder. They have no business. That man has no business saying who that family should have there with them in the courthouse. Their son is dead because of a bunch of foolishness, because of privilege in this country that should never be. Okay, so again, another situation of what they, that they want to discriminate against us because they're taught that they're better, they're higher than us, or they're better than us. Because for this man to even blurt out something crazy like that we don't need no more black pastors. Okay, so what, should we get in touch with white pastors? White pastors, yeah, y'all go there and encourage the Arbery family, please, real quick. That is so foolish. And in this day and time, the 21st century, that we're going through the same nonsense over and over and over again. They need to go to jail. That's the bottom line. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to cover is the missing youth. Today, I don't have all of the details for it, because when I went to pull up the rest of them, I think they did something with their link this week. So they probably, working on it or something. But I'm going to bring up the names of the people. The first one is Yashan Webb. He's been missing since February the 8th of this year. So if you can go on to missingkids.org and look up his information, if you see him, report it to the police and to missingkids.org so he can be reunited with his family. The next person is Maridita Cifuentes Velasquez. Mariolita Cifuentes Velasquez. She's been missing since August 29th of this year. If you see her, know anything about her disappearance, please report it to missingkids.org and to your local police department. Let's get these young people back home to their families, because there's some crazy stuff going on out there. And I'm telling you, people, today, please get your kids. Let them understand there's some crazy stuff going on. So don't run off. Don't go with people that you have no business with or you don't know anything about. Get your kids, because there's a lot going on. Sex trafficking, I keep telling y'all that thing is getting worse and worse. And child pornography and all kind of stuff. There's all kind of strange things going on. All right, so be aware. All right. The next thing we're going to go to is our health and wellness tips. It's getting cold. Ginger, garlic, and honey, those three. Make sure you put those in your teas and even make a paste out of it. Have this every single day. I drink my ginger tea daily. And as a matter of fact, when I did was feeling sick this year with my sinuses, it was during that time that I was not drinking my ginger, garlic, and honey tea. You gotta drink it, put it in your food. I put it in my lamb chops, every meat or whatever that I eat. I put ginger and garlic in my food as well. And I'm telling you, that ginger, God put that thing on this earth. That thing helps fight against anything, any and everything. So for the winter and throughout the year, put these ingredients in your food. Also drink them as a tea. All right. Next thing is the business tips. Be ready for change and flexibility. Things can happen at the drop of a dime. Boom. Something's different. Something's changing. You got to be able to move on. Even the children of Israel, when we were in the wilderness, when the Lord had delivered us out of Egypt, we had to move with the cloud. He said, I'm going to be a guide to you, a cloud by day and a fire by night. So you got to move with the cloud. Wherever the cloud is going, you got to be able to go. All right. So be ready for change and flexibility. Be flexible. I ain't doing that. I don't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing I'm not saying just do anything, but I mean, be open, be flexible. All right. Okay. So we're going to go to the word of God and we say, Shema Yasharala, Ahayah Eloheinu, Ahayah Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God. The Lord, he is one God. All right. So now we're going to be talking more about Jacob's or Israel's trials. Remember, Jacob, his name was changed to Israel because as a mighty prince, he fought. So his name was changed from Jacob, which pretty much means trickster, to Israel. All right. And we became the children of Israel. Remember, his 12 sons represent the 12 tribes. And a lot of us are in one of those tribes. All right. So I wanted to, bring that out to you, how this came about. All right. Now, we're going to be, this story is, we started this story about a week ago, but we're going to continue it. So we're going to be going basically from Genesis chapters 28 through 30. But today I'm going to be reading to you in depth Jacob's dream from the lost apocrypha of the Old Testament. You could type that in your Google, in the Google, and it'll pop up for you. It'll say the lost apocrypha of the Old Testament / the ladder of Jacob. All right. So I'm going to be reading to you from that today, so that you could get a better understanding of what Jacob saw when he had this vision of the Lord. This was not just some by chance thing. This was something that God was talking to this man directly. And I've told you other times that it's not often that you're going to hear the audible voice of God, and that you're going to have a vision like that where God is talking to you from the top of a ladder, and he's trying to get you to see something that he's about to do in your life or in the life of the people around you. So this was a very key factor, because Jacob was about to become Israel. He was about to become a nation of people. So the Lord was giving him the directive on it. What's going to happen? What is this about? This is not just, some ordinary thing that I'm telling you. Nations of people are going to come from you. All right. So we are going to go to that now. All right. So now Jacob went to his uncle Laban. Okay. Laban was Jacob's uncle through his mother. Okay. So he found a place and fell asleep there, laying his head on a stone. Right. For the sun was set, and there he saw a vision. So now, Jacob is traveling and whatnot. And so he puts his head on a rock, and he's tired. He's, resting. And a vision is coming to him from the Lord. Okay. And lo, a ladder was set up on the earth. There was a staircase set up on the earth. Imagine you're sleeping, but you go into this vision of a ladder or a staircase being set up on the earth, whose top reached unto heaven. This staircase is so long, it's going up to heaven. All right. So can you imagine, you see something like that? You're like, what is this? Right. And the top of the ladder, okay, there was a face of a man hewn out of fire. Now, remember, in the heavens, you have these seraphims, cherubims. They're different rankings. You think the armies are something here on earth. Please, the ranking of the Lord's armies are something else. And these creatures look different. Some of them are firing, looking individuals. Others look other way. There's a whole lot of different rankings of angels in heaven. So the top of the ladder, there was a face as of a man hewn out of fire. Oh, God. Right? Now it had 12 steps up to the top of the ladder. And upon each step up to the top were 2 human faces on the right and on the left. 24 faces seen to their breast on the ladder. So you could see these human faces, but it stopped at the breast part, right? And there's 24 of them. Remember the 24 elders in the Bible too? And the 12 ladder, or 12 steps on the staircase remind me of the 12 children of Israel, right? So here you have, but the middle face was higher than them all, which I saw made of fire to the shoulder and the arm. So the face in the middle was made of fire to the shoulder and the arm. Very terrible, more than the 24 faces. And as I looked, behold, the angels of God ascending and descending thereon. But the Lord was set above it. So above all of this, the Lord, he's up there, right? And he called me saying, Jacob, Jacob. So you hear the voice of the Lord. It's different. It don't sound like your mother, your father, nobody calling you. It sounds like the voice of many waters. I don't know if any of you have ever experienced it, but when you do, it's a wake-up call because God is talking to you. And it's something urgent that he wants you to do. So I don't know if you've ever experienced, but I'm telling you, when you hear the voice of God, time it stops. It's like you're in eternity, right? And he called me saying, Jacob, Jacob. And I said, here am I, Lord. And he said to me, the land wherein thou sleepest, I will give to thee and to thy seed after thee. And I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven, as the sand of the sea. The stars of heaven are angels. You know, when you look up in the sky at night and you see stars, people really think that those are like, you know, different things that you can touch. Those are angels moving in their courses. Remember, the Lord uses the angels to do different things. The sun is, you know, angel that moves a certain way. The moon, the stars, all of that are angels moving in their courses. All this other crap that you hear and people tell you that this is all of this kind of stuff that people are into is not true. These are things that were made from creation for the earth. All right. So through thy seed shall all the earth be blessed, and they that dwell thereon unto the last times. And because of us, the nations of the earth are blessed. Okay. Of the 12 tribes, all right, there are different things that we have contributed to society as a whole. All right. When you look at the fact that we have here in America, this country was not built by white America, so to speak. They used the governments, but we were the ones who plowed the land and all of that kind of stuff. And this is why they brought us from over in Africa, because we were good at doing it in Africa. Okay. But they won't tell you that. They'll just tell you that we were some people that should be treated as cattle and all of this kind of stuff. But we were brought over here to work the land. All right. Because why? We could stand in the sun. The sun doesn't really bother us like it does, you know, people who are of the European nations. They can't take the sun like we can. Our people worked from sunrise to sunset. They would have died doing that because they don't have the melanin that we do. Remember, their genes are more recessive and ours are dominant. So we were able to get out there in the sun with just, you know, a scarf on or a hat and work all day, you know. And also, when you look at Washington, that by Benjamin Banneker, those were Black people that built that White House and the Capitol and all of that kind of stuff. That was built by us. So even though we were enslaved, a lot of time we are enslaved, and the nations that have been over us have been blessed because of us. Can you imagine if all of us got up today and just walked out? We just left America totally? Okay. We've brought money to this country like crazy, even though they don't want to really acknowledge it. And they also don't want to give us our fair share of the money that we should have so that we can build up our communities even more. Okay. Even though they allow their people to come over from Europe, which is where they're from. They're not from here. So when they tell you go back home, well, why don't they go back home? They're from Europe. If you're European, how are you telling me you go home? No, you go home. No, you go home. No, you go home. That's foolishness, right? So the other nations that came out of Israel, the Indians, they're the tribe of Gad. They definitely worked the land and stuff before we got here, because when we got dispersed to the other lands out of Israel, when we had that final war with against the Romans in 70 AD, we were scattered to everywhere in the earth. And we're the only group of people that's like that. So Gad was already here when we got here, because when we got scattered, Gad had been still doing trade and stuff like that with the Africans, the Hamites. We're Shemites, and the people who are actually African are Hamites. Okay, because remember, we came from the 3 different sons of Noah when he got off that ark: Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Okay, so our people, the Gadites were doing trade and stuff like that with the Hamites, right? And so are other people who have made contributions. The people from Hawaii, the Fijis, the Vietnamese, the the people in the Pacific Isles, all of those, different people that are from that tribe of Issachar. That's who they are, the tribe of Issachar. That's so many different, groups of people out there on those islands. All right. That have come here to America too and contributed. All right. So now, and when I heard it from above, fear and trembling fell upon me, and I rose up from my dream. Imagine the Lord is telling you he's going to bless you. It'll pour out from thee unto the last generation, right? He said, through thy seed shall all the earth be blessed. So these other nations are blessed because of us, right? Even though they try to make like we're the worst people on the earth, they're blessed because of us. And they that dwell thereon unto the last times, the years of the end. My blessing wherewith I have blessed thee shall pour out from thee unto the last generation. And we're coming upon the last generation. As you can see what's going on according to Bible prophecy. Everything is in line for end times. We are at the beginning of sorrows. All of this stuff that you see happening. And people are going to come together because remember, even the European nations have been fooled because they made them think when they came over here, okay, now they are all going to be called the white nation. Before that, they weren't called white. They were called Greeks, Italians, Romans, Germans, Russians, all of those different nations of people. So the idea of the people here was to pit them against us. And we're not their enemy, but that's what they wanted they wanted them to be against us. So they made up this thing about white supremacy and you're above black people, this, that, and the other. But they're going to find out, as you're seeing now in this thing going on in Kenosha, it's working against you because now y'all are going to start fighting against each other. And that's what's happening because it was a plan altogether just for a few people to make it, for the elite to make it. All of this crap that they told you about Christopher Columbus and all about, them coming over here and how the forefathers were so holy and all of this kind of stuff was a bunch of garbage. It's not true. So now you all are going to see what all of this white privilege is going to come to. It's going to come to a disaster, a disaster. And that's what's going to cause this nation to come down. And it's already, if you notice, taking place January 6th. What they were allowed to do at the Capitol should give you a hindsight of what's coming. It's going to get worse because you cannot operate like that where you have this certain class of people that it seems like rules don't apply to them. Rules don't apply to them. If I go in the store and a white person goes in the store, they're going to follow me around the store. All right. Why? Because in their mind, I'm black. My people are no good. And all we do is steal or whatever, all kind of crazy stuff like that. So the people are brainwashed, not saying that people from every culture steal and do things. All right. I see news all the time that, things that white people have committed and they don't put that on the news. You ain't gonna see that on a different channel. You're not. Everything that they see, everything that you see is going to be pitted against people of color. It's going to be because they want to make us the bad guy. And they want it to be that no other culture steals, no other culture commits murder, you know, and all of that. The only thing that really gets, and it's sad, is when the young people have, you know, when they have like the shootouts or something like that at the schools. That's the only time you're going to really see white crime. Other than that, the news is filled with blacks, Latinos. Okay, tell the truth, right? That's how it is, because it's to get your mind off of what they really, what's going on. All right. Now, so now when he heard this from above, fear and trembling fell on him, and he rose up from his dream. And while the voice of God was yet in his ears, he said, how dreadful is this place? This is none other but the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. So there are portals. There are portals all around the earth. And this is how the angels used to ascend and descend from heaven. They used to come down because the angels are in charge to protect us. All right. All of us have angels around us, right? But if you are not in the fear and the acknowledgement of the Lord, then after a while, the Lord's going to be like, well, I guess this person is not on my side. I've sent my servants to talk to them, to come to, you know, the law, statutes, and commandments of the Lord, and they won't do it. So he'll remove his hedge of protection from you, and then you'll be out there, you know, on your own. Now, I'm not saying that none of that, even though even people who do know the Lord sometimes are killed, because you can be killed for what you believe in. But basically, that there's a hedge of protection around God's people, right? Yes, people come against us, like I said, and sometimes the Lord will allow things to happen for his own reasoning. Sometimes it may be to wake us up, but also sometimes people are going to be judged for what they did to us. Slavery, those slave owners, I don't care how much church they used to do on Sunday, those people are not going to heaven. I'm telling you, they're not. The things that they did to our people, raped our women, you know, buck broke our black men, you know, to change them, to force them to be other than a man, to force them to not want to be united with a woman in matrimony, not somebody making a choice of their own, but force them to come into that type of lifestyle. Those people will not, you will not see them in the kingdom. They ain't going there. I'm telling you. So, you know, this is the type of thing that, you know, people are not taken into account. All right. So he rose up from his dream, and while the voice of God was yet in his ears, he said, how dreadful is this place? This is the gate of heaven. And he set up a stone that was under his head for a pillar, and poured oil on top of it, and called the name of the place the house of God. So he honored the place where he saw the vision. He didn't make an idol out of it. He honored that place, right? Anointing oil, you know, he put, you know, on that place. Okay. And I prayed to God and said, Lord God of Adam, and the Lord God of Abraham and Isaac, my father, and of all whose ways are right before thee, thou that sittest mighty upon the cherubim, and upon the throne of the majesty of fire and full of eyes, as I saw in my dream, that holds the cherubim with four faces, that bears the seraphim full of eyes. Remember, the seraphim are the level of angels that Lucifer was, or as they call him today, the devil. He was an angel in heaven, but he decided he was going to be above God. You see what I'm saying? So that type of mentality comes from the devil. When you trying to set yourself above people, like, well, I'm better than them. Well, I you know, nah, that don't apply to me. That apply to them. They like cattle. They like this. They like, I'm this, I'm that. And you hear it consistently on the news when you, or, you know, on different, you know, news clippings or whatever that you'll see somebody saying, well, I'm so-and-so and you're black, and, you know, this and that and all of that kind of stuff. All of that comes from The devil think, because he said he will ascend to heaven and he will be like the Most High. He said he will be above the clouds, above the angels and all of that. So anytime you hear people with that type of mentality, that does not come from God. It's not Christian. It's nothing but satanic. All right. So now he called the name of that place the house of God, and the Lord God of Adam, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and all whose ways are right before him, thou that sittest mighty upon the cherubim. And he said, like he saw in his dream, he holds the cherubim with 4 faces, that bears the seraphim full of eyes, and bears the whole world under his arm. God is so mighty that he does this, and is born of none. God is so mighty that he does all this, but he has no mother or father. He has no mother or father. He sent Christ because Christ was born of him. He sent Christ into the earth to bring us back as Israelites to the laws, statutes, and commandments, that we could wake up the rest of the world to come and serve the Lord in spirit and in truth as a human race of people, right? So now thou hast established the heaven for thy glory of thy name. Thou hast spread out upon the clouds of the heaven that flieth under thee, that under it thou mayest move the sun and hide it in the night, lest it be held for God. Thou hast ordained the way for the moon and the stars, and her that makest to wax and wane. But for the stars thou hast commanded them to pass over, lest these also should be supposed gods. So the Lord moves these things around so that they don't become so puffed up like, well, I'm the star today, I'm the moon, I'm the sun, I'm the stars at night, I'm, and all of that. He moves them around to work in their courses so that we can see up in this, because, remember, some people still use the star for direction. If they're going north or south or whatever, they use that for direction. And also we need this for, our daily living and stuff like that. It's health for our bodies, right? So now he says, before the face, thy majesty, the 6-winged seraphim fear and hide their feet in their face with their wings. With the others, they fly. If you remember in Isaiah, it talks about those 6-winged seraphim, how they even stand in honor of the Lord. They don't even look at him because he's so holy. They honor the Lord, okay, and they bow to the Lord. Unlike a lot of people here on earth who are like, there ain't no God, I ain't serving God, ain't no God. They just, the earth has become so callous as far as the God of heaven and the earth. They want to believe in all these other crazy things that always lead to them killing somebody or something crazy going on. It's never leading them to righteousness, right? So they hide their feet in their face with their wings, and with the others they fly and sing. They even sing, right? All right. So now the other part of it, they're speaking in Hebrew. Okay, it said, blessed one that filleth heaven and earth and the sea and the abyss and all ions with thy glory. Hear my song wherewith I have praised thee, and grant me my petition for which I pray to thee, and show me the interpretation of my dream. For thou art strong and mighty and glorious, a holy God, the Lord of me and my fathers. So now Jacob is now saying, God, you're the God of heaven. You're the God of the seraphim, the cherubim, of all that's there in the earth. Give me the interpretation of this dream with the staircase, the angels going up and down. Some of them looking like fire, and you standing at the top. You talking to me. You gonna bless all the nations. Gonna be blessed through me. What does that mean, Lord? What does that mean? And while I yet spake my prayer, there appeared a voice before my face saying, Prince of them that rejoice, thou that art over visions, go make Jacob to understand the interpretation of the dream which he saw. So God is now sending one of his angels called Serakel. Okay. And Serakel in heaven, he's the prince of them that rejoice. Okay. So God is sending him. Go open up this man's understanding. Because remember, in heaven, you work for the Lord. Okay. You ain't working for the state or the city. You working for heaven. All right. So now he told him to go make him understand the interpretation of the dream which he saw, and show him all things whatsoever he saw. But first, bless him. So the Lord said, I want you to open his understanding, but I want you to give him a blessing. So angels can bless us, right? At the commandment of the Lord. And he, Archangel Serakel, came to me, and I saw, and it was a face terrible. But I did not fear before his look, for the face which I had seen in my dream was more than this. So the angel that Jacob saw in his dream looked more fearful than Serakel did. So he wasn't as afraid as when he saw the one with the fire, the face made out, hewn out of fire. But Serakel, I guess, looked more presenting to him, because angels can disguise themselves so that we can receive them. Angels can sometimes appear as people. They're usually on the earth. You probably haven't even talked to an angel and didn't even know it, because they can come as a dog, a cat. You ever hear people tell you these stories about what happened with their dog and stuff like that? Sometimes that's an angel working through that dog or cat or whatever, because they can appear in different forms. All right. So now he was okay. So he feared not the face of the angel. And the angel said to him, what is thy name? And I said, Jacob. So he said, thy name shall not henceforth be called Jacob, but thy name shall be like my name, Israel. And when I came from Vandana, right, in Syria to meet my brother Esau, he came to me and blessed me and called my name Israel, and told me not his name until I adjured him. And then he told me. So now at this point, Jacob is on his way to meet his twin brother Esau, because remember, him and Esau, they fell out because Jacob got the blessing of the father, of their father, Isaac. And Jacob was more favored because Jacob was obedient. He did the things that were pleasing to the Lord. So he was chosen from the womb, whether Esau sold him his birthright or not. It was told their mother from the womb, 2 nations of people are at war in you. But the older, will serve the younger. So as you see, even in today, this is an Esau nation of people that have their own ways and things like that are against God. They don't want you to bring the Bible no more. They don't really want the churches no more and all of that kind of stuff. And that's what Esau was all about. He was about lawlessness and doing his own type of thing. But you see that kingdom is coming to an end. So the Esau kingdom is coming to an end, and Jacob is now rising. So for those who are the Gentile nations, if you really trust and believe in the Lord, you will believe with us and rise with us for righteousness, not for the foolishness that Esau is doing to pit race against race, country against state, state against city. If you notice, everything is just chaotic. And that's the workings of Esau. So you have a choice. Either you accept the Lord and do what he wants you to do, or you're going to fall just like Esau is falling. And people don't see it, but it's falling in stages. It's coming down. This way of thinking, this privileged thought pattern, all of that is coming down. And it's going to cause those people that have that mentality, they're going to fight against each other more and more. Or they'll always be against us until the end, because that's that fight between good and evil. That's the fight between Satan and the Lord. Okay? So it's up to you to choose whose side are you really on? Are you on the side of the Lord, or on that side where you want to be told that you're this privileged person and that you're above people and that you can kill them anytime you want to and that they're cattle or things like that? Because remember, if your genes are recessive and ours are dominant, that means you came from us. Come on now, wake up and smell the coffee. Because the deeper that you dig in Africa, because at one time Africa was the whole world, it's after the flood that you had these continents and stuff like that. Before that, Africa, it was Africa. All right. So if you come from us, how could you be better than us? You can't. There's no way you can. If your genes are recessive and ours are dominant, you came from us. And the deeper that you dig in Africa, the blacker it gets. All of those, statues and stuff there, those are black people. Okay, so there's nothing you can do about it. You can lie about it. You could paint the faces of the people like you did. That's how they came up with that Jesus was white. He's not white. That picture that you see of him is of Cesar Borgia. He came from a crime type of family, and they used his face because they felt his face looked more appealing than a black man. But if you notice that even the Catholic people, they worship the Black Madonna. Why do you think so? Because Christ and his mother are black. The Pope and them, they worship the Black Madonna. If you go to Russia, the pictures of the 12 apostles, black people. Why? Because they know. So it's time for you all too to wake up out of that drunken stupor that they've been telling you all this time, that we're your enemies. We're not your enemies. The lies that they told you are your enemies. So it's time for us to come together and let's go through the scriptures and know what the truth is. That's why they hid the apocryphal books. This is what I'm reading to you from the Apocrypha. They took it out of the Bible, the lost Apocrypha of the Old Testament. They took it out, but we found them. We found those, archaeologists and stuff like that found the original books, because there's about 14 books or so missing. All right. So we're going to be picking this up. We're going to still be talking about Jacob's ladder and Jacob's seed. And we, like I said, we don't hate nobody. We love everybody. And, I don't care who you are. Basically, we have mixtures within our families, right? That, of course, that's why some of us are light skinned, right? Because somewhere somebody was white. All right. So join us again. Watch me every week, Saturdays from 7 to 8 p.m. BronxNet.tv channel at 951-2137 on your cable channels. Also, please subscribe to the Crystal Jones TV show on YouTube. Okay. And check me out on Facebook, the Crystal Jones TV show, Instagram, the Crystal Jones show. Write to me, the Crystal Jones show at Gmail, and watch me on HebrewConnect.tv. All right. So in the name of Ahayah, Bahashem, Yashaya, Rawach, we are glad to have you, and we wish you many blessings and peace. And as always, we always tell you, you, and you. Stay balanced. Shalawam, Barakatah.
Stop using church intimidation, control and manipulation. Jezebel and all them spirits fall back, not trying to hear it. Go with Jesus, walk in peace. On your pew can sit that beast that we're fighting in the world. I'm that JC Supergirl, Jesus Christ, belt of truth, arm of God, I'm slaying you. Power of the word, two-edged sword. MC Heaven rocks for her Lord. Thought they crept in unaware, didn't see the gatekeeper standing right there. Not getting down with your tactics, undoctrinal practice.